Built, not given. Hard work. The Knight's Armor Principles, Volume 6. By Kenny Knight III, founder of Rage Fitness and Salute Supplements. U.S. Marine Corps and Army veteran. Speaker, entrepreneur, author. Read by Rick Gines. Dedication. This book is dedicated to my grandparents, Jesse Stanford and Beatrice Stanford. Before I ever understood what hard work really meant, I saw it in them. I watched my grandfather get up and start working on his farm before the sun ever touched the sky, and I watched him still working long after it went down. No excuses, no complaints, just work that had to be done, and he did it. My grandmother was just as strong in her own way. She raised children, adopted children, fostered children, and somehow still held everything together. She ran the household, cooked meals from scratch every single day, and made sure everyone was taken care of. There was no shortcut in their life, no easy way out, just discipline, just responsibility, just doing what needed to be done every single day. They didn't talk about hard work, they lived it. And whether they knew it or not, they were building something in me. This book, this mindset, this standard comes from watching them. Everything I believe about work, discipline, and responsibility was shaped by their example. So this is for them. Thank you for showing me what it looks like to do the work. Acknowledgements. To all the hard workers out there that are doing what they must do until they can do what they want to do. Nobody applauds the hard work while it's happening. There's no crowd at 3:30 in the morning when the alarm feels like an enemy and your body is negotiating surrender. No camera in the room when doubt sits on your chest, heavier than any barbell you've ever touched. No highlight reel for the days you kept going with a bad attitude, sore joints, and a mind full of excuses. Hard work is quiet. It's ugly. Hard work doesn't care about your feelings. And that's exactly why most people never do it. We live in a world addicted to shortcuts, 6-week transformations, overnight success stories, get-rich-quick lies wrapped in designer logos. Everybody wants the victory photo, but nobody wants the years it took to earn it. They want the title without the training, the respect without the discipline, the harvest without bleeding in the dirt. That's not how life works. That's damn sure not how armor is forged. Steel doesn't become strong because it's treated gently. It becomes strong because it's heated, hammered, and tested until every weak piece is burned out of it. People are no different. You don't discover who you are on easy days. You meet yourself when the work is hard, boring, and unfair, and you decide to do it anyway. I learned that in places most people only see in movies. I learned it under rucks that felt like they were breaking my spine, in gyms that smelled like sweat and regret, in businesses that almost buried me, in nights when quitting made more sense than continuing. But sense doesn't build empires. Comfort doesn't create killers. Talent without hard work is just wasted potential with an ego. This book isn't a pep talk. I'm not here to pat you on the back and tell you you're doing great just for showing up. Showing up is the entry fee. The hard work is the price of becoming someone different. If you're looking for motivation, put this book down. If you're looking for permission to stay average, close it now. But if you're tired of lying to yourself, if you're sick of starting and stopping, if you want to build armor that life can't break, then turn the page. The work is waiting. Prologue. Nobody can do your work for you. When I was in high school, I had a friend named Pauline Brooks. Pauline wasn't just smart. She was disciplined. There's a difference. She did her homework before the bell rang. While the rest of us were joking, messing around, or thinking about practice, Pauline was already done. Neat, complete, on time, every time. And me? I was talented, but lazy. Most days, I didn't feel like doing the work, so I'd lean over and look at her paper. She was kind enough to let me. Sometimes she'd even let me take her homework home, copy it, and bring it back the next morning before class. I wasn't grinding. I was borrowing, and I got comfortable living off somebody else's discipline. Here's the crazy part. I cheated off Pauline so much that I started writing like her. My handwriting used to be terrible. I could write in cursive, but it was ugly, sloppy, rushed, undisciplined. But Pauline printed everything, clean, sharp, neat. I copied her work so often that I copied her style. I learned to print my letters the way she did. To this day, people tell me I have neat handwriting, and I laugh. Because the only reason my penmanship improved was because I cheated long enough to imitate excellence. But here's the problem with imitation. It doesn't build foundation. The next year, Pauline wasn't in my classes. No English together, no math together, no paper to glance at, no homework to borrow. And that year, I failed. I failed 11th grade English. I failed 11th grade math. Not because I wasn't capable, but because I never built the muscle of doing the work myself. When the crutch disappeared, so did my results. So in 12th grade, I had to double up. 11th and 12th grade English, 11th and 12th grade math. That was the year reality punched me in the mouth. I realized something that changed my life. You can't borrow someone's notes. You can't copy someone's style. You can imitate someone's results, but you can't borrow their discipline. When life separates you from your Pauline, when there's nobody to lean on, nobody to copy, nobody to rescue you, your lack of hard work will expose you. That was the first time I truly understood. If you don't do the hard work yourself, you will pay for it later. And the payment always costs more than the effort would have. That lesson followed me into the military, into business, into building a gym, into building my life. Because life will eventually remove your crutches. When it does, you better know how to stand. This book is about standing on your own work. No shortcuts, no borrowed answers, no fake discipline, just you and the hard work. Chapter 1. Don't complain about the results you didn't earn. One of my favorite sayings is this: don't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do. Let that sit for a second. Most people don't have a results problem. They have a work problem. I see it every single day in my gym. People walk in wanting transformation. They want the weight gone. They want the muscle built. They want confidence. They want strength. They want discipline. But they don't want discomfort, and that's the problem. You cannot change your body without changing your effort. You cannot change your life without changing your standards. If you change nothing, then nothing will change. I tell my members all the time, get comfortable being uncomfortable because growth doesn't live in comfort. The 45-pound lie. I see it with women on the leg press all the time. They'll slide in, load a 45-pound plate on each side, and that's where they live. That's the ceiling. That's heavy. They've convinced themselves that's their max. Then I walk over and add another plate, and I can see it in their eyes. Fear. Not physical fear, mental fear. What if I can't? What if I fail? What if it's too heavy? So I stand there and tell them to push. And guess what happens? They move it. Not barely. Not dangerously. They move it strong. And when they rack it, they look at me like I just performed a miracle. But I didn't. I just removed the mental block. They weren't weak. They were comfortable. Men do it too. This isn't just a women's issue. The men do it on the bench press, on the squat rack, on the leg press. They'll sit under a weight they've been lifting for 6 months and call it training. That's not training. That's maintenance. They're afraid to add weight, afraid to add reps, afraid to fail in front of people. But here's the truth. Failure under the bar builds strength. Avoiding it builds excuses. Hard work means stepping into weights that intimidate you. It means chasing reps when your lungs are burning or doing the thing your mind is trying to negotiate out of. The 300 push-up standard. At my gym, we have a standard. 10 minutes, 300 push-ups. When new people hear that, they panic. Coach, I can't do 300 push-ups. Some of them don't think they can do 50, but here's what happens. They start. In 10 minutes, they hit 100. The next time, 150. Then 200. And one day, they hit 300. Not because they magically got stronger overnight, but because they stopped quitting mentally. They stopped arguing with the work. They realized something powerful. It's doable. The body will follow where the mind is willing to go. Comfort is expensive. The problem isn't that people can't do more. It's that they don't require more from themselves. Comfort feels safe. Comfort feels familiar. Comfort feels controlled. But comfort is expensive. It costs you strength, confidence, and growth. And the worst part, comfort convinces you that you're trying when you're really coasting. The real conversation. If you're not where you want to be physically, financially, spiritually, or mentally, ask yourself one question. Did I truly do the work? Not, did I show up? Not, did I think about it? Not, did I start? It is. Did you push when it got uncomfortable? Did you add the weight? Did you finish the reps? Did you stay when it hurt? Or did you settle? Because results don't lie. They are a direct reflection of standards, and standards are a direct reflection of effort. You want the next level? Add the weight, add the reps, add the discipline. Stop negotiating with your potential. Hard work isn't punishment. It's permission. Permission to become who you keep saying you want to be. Chapter 2. Challenges force change. Challenges don't build character. They expose it. And if you're paying attention, they give you a choice. Stay the same or become someone different. I wasn't always the man I am today. Not even close. When I left home, I carried the same habits, the same mindset, and the same excuses that had already been holding me back. I thought changing my environment would automatically change me. It didn't. Because you don't become better by changing locations. You become better by changing standards. The old me. The old me looked for the easy way out. I procrastinated. I cut corners. I did just enough to get by. Sound familiar? I had ability. I had potential. I had opportunities. But I didn't have discipline. And without discipline, potential is worthless. So what happened? I failed. Over and over again. Not because life was unfair or because I didn't have support. I failed because I refused to change. You don't rinse, you repeat. Here's something most people don't want to hear. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits, and my habits were weak. No matter how bad I said I wanted success, I kept getting the same results. Same mindset, same effort, same outcome. Failure wasn't random in my life. It was predictable. The turning point. At some point, reality gets loud. You can only blame people for so long. Excuses only work for so long. Lying to yourself for so long. Then one day it hits you. If nothing changes, then nothing changes. That wasn't just a quote for me. It was a gut check, because I realized something that most people avoid their entire lives. The problem wasn't my situation. The problem was me. The challenge that changed me. Becoming a Marine forced that truth on me. That environment didn't care about how I felt. It didn't care about my excuses. It didn't care about who I used to be. It demanded more. More discipline, more effort, more accountability. And at first, I struggled. Because when you've spent years avoiding hard work, real standards feel like punishment. But they're not. They're pressure. And pressure creates change, if you don't run from it. Fighting the change. I didn't transform overnight. There were moments I resisted it. Moments I wanted to go back to what was comfortable. Times I tried to cut corners again, when I failed because I slipped back into old habits. That's the part people don't talk about. Change is a fight. Not just against the work, but against who you used to be. Every time you choose discipline, you're killing off an old version of yourself. That version doesn't go quietly. Doing something different. Everything in my life started to change when I made one decision. If I want something different, I have to do something different. Simple, but not easy. That meant waking up when I didn't feel like it, putting in effort when nobody was watching, holding myself accountable instead of making excuses, finishing what I started. It meant becoming someone I wasn't used to being, and that's where most people quit. They don't just want better results, they want them without becoming a better person. That's not how it works. The entrepreneur mindset. That same lesson followed me into business. You think the military is hard? Try building something from nothing. Try failing publicly. Try losing money. Try doubting yourself while everyone else doubts you too. There were times I failed in business for the same reason I failed earlier in life. I wasn't evolving fast enough. I was holding on to old habits in a new level of life, and old habits don't survive new levels. So I had to adapt again, sharpen again, discipline again, grow again. Challenge is the gateway. Here's the truth. Challenges are not there to stop you. They're there to change you. Every level of your life will demand a new version of you. Stronger, sharper, more disciplined. And if you refuse to evolve, you will stay stuck, no matter how bad you want more. The real question. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Are you willing to change? Not talk about it, think about it, or post about it, but actually change. Because change requires letting go of excuses, leaving your comfort zone, and let go of the version of you that's holding you back. I had to learn it the hard way, through failure, through pressure, through challenge. But I learned it, and it changed everything. If you want a different life, stop waiting for easier circumstances. Start becoming a stronger person. Because the challenge in front of you is the exact thing that can transform you, if you're willing to let it. Chapter 3. Discipline over motivation. I tell my people this all the time. It takes motivation to start, but it takes discipline to finish. Motivation feels good. It's that spark, that excitement, that I'm about to change my life energy. Everybody loves motivation, but motivation doesn't last. It fades when things get hard. It disappears when results don't show up fast enough. It vanishes the moment effort stops feeling good, and that's where discipline steps in. The days nobody shows up. There have been plenty of times in my gym where I've started a boot camp and 1 or 2 people showed up. There have been times where nobody showed up. Nobody. Empty floor. Lights on. Silence. Now let's be real. That messes with you. You start questioning everything. Is this even working? Am I wasting my time? Should I just shut this down? Motivation doesn't help you in those moments because there's nothing exciting about standing in an empty gym. That's where discipline shows up. Discipline says, run it anyway. Almost closing the doors. There were times I seriously thought about shutting it all down, just closing the doors, walking away, going back to what I used to do, driving trucks, finding a job, doing something safe, something predictable, something that guaranteed a check. Because when you're not making money, when things aren't growing, when the vision isn't matching reality, it gets real uncomfortable. That's the part nobody posts about. That's the part nobody claps for. The difference. Here's the difference between people who make it and people who don't. When it gets hard, most people stop. They say, let me go get another job to hold me over. They split their focus. They split their energy. They slowly walk away from the thing they said they believed in. And it sounds responsible. It sounds logical. But a lot of times, it's just fear dressed up as a backup plan. Where your time goes. I tell people this straight. If you're willing to give 8 to 10 hours of your day to build someone else's dream, but you won't give that same energy to your own, don't complain about where you end up because success isn't confused. It follows effort. If you take the same time, the same energy, the same focus you'd give to another job, and you pour it into your vision, that's when things start to move. Slow at first, then steady, then unstoppable. But it's hard. Let's not sugarcoat it. It's hard. It's hard to keep going when money isn't coming in, or to stay locked in when results are slow. It's hard to bet on yourself when nobody else is. That's why most people don't do it. Not because they can't, but because they won't stay disciplined long enough. Discipline doesn't care. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care if you're tired or discouraged or even if you're doubting yourself. Discipline says, show up anyway. Do the work anyway. Keep building anyway. Even when it's quiet, even when it's slow, even when it looks like it's not working. What I chose. I had a choice. Shut it down or double down. And I chose to double down. Put out another boot camp. Advertise again. Show up again. Work again. Even when it didn't make sense. Even when it didn't feel good. I had realized something. If I quit, it's guaranteed to fail. If I keep going, there's still a chance. And that chance is built through discipline. The truth about finishing. Everybody starts. Few people finish, because finishing requires a version of you that most people never become. A disciplined version. One that doesn't negotiate with excuses. One that doesn't depend on feelings. A version that keeps going when it would be easier to quit. So if you're in that place right now where motivation is gone, things feel slow, where you're questioning everything, good. That's where discipline is built. That's where the real work begins. Start with motivation, but finish with discipline. Because at the end of the day, motivation might get you moving, but discipline is what gets you across the finish line. Chapter 4. No one is coming to save you. In the military, especially in the infantry, we don't train for comfort. We train for survival. We train so we come home alive. But more than that, we train so the man next to us comes home alive. The real reason we train. People think working out in the military is about looking strong. It's not. It's about being ready. Ready for the worst day of your life. When things go bad, and they will, you don't rise to the moment. You fall to your level of training. I used to tell my Marines this all the time. If you're out of shape, if you're slacking, if you're cutting corners in training, how are you going to save your brother when it counts? If I get hit, if I go down, if I can't move, how are you going to carry me? How are you going to drag me out of danger? How are you going to keep me alive? Battle buddies. In the Marine Corps, we have what's called a battle buddy. That's your person, the one you move with, the one you watch, the one you fight alongside. You're responsible for each other, not just in words, in action. That responsibility is real, because if something happens out there, it's not theory, it's life or death. The weight of not being ready. I used to think about this all the time. What if my boy goes down and I'm not strong enough to carry him? What if he's bleeding and I'm too exhausted to move fast? What if I fail him because I didn't push myself in training? That's a different kind of fear, not fear for yourself, fear of not being prepared for someone else. That's why we train hard. That's why we don't cut corners, because weakness isn't just your problem. It becomes someone else's problem when it matters most. Nobody is coming. Here's the truth most people don't want to accept. Nobody is coming to save you. Not in life, not in business, not in the moments that matter. There's no backup plan showing up at the last second. There's no rescue team fixing your lack of discipline. There's no shortcut around the work you didn't do. It's you, your preparation, your mindset, your discipline. That's it. It's bigger than you. But here's where people get it twisted. This isn't just about you. Because just like in the military, somebody is depending on you, your family, your team, your people. If you're not building yourself, if you're not getting stronger, sharper, more disciplined, then when life hits, you won't just fail yourself. You'll fail the people who needed you to be ready. Invest in yourself. Investing in yourself isn't optional. It's necessary. You must get in shape, build discipline, sharpen your mind. Putting in the work isn't vanity, it's responsibility. One day life is going to test you, and in that moment, you won't have time to prepare. You'll only have time to perform. The hard question. Ask yourself this. If someone you love needed you right now, could you carry them? Could you protect them, lead them, save them, or would you break under the pressure? The standard. In the military, we didn't train hard for just ourselves. We trained hard for each other because we understood something most people don't. Your strength might be the reason someone else survives. So no one is coming to save you, so you better become someone who can save others. That's the standard. That's the responsibility. That's the work. Chapter 5. Excuses kill potential. There's a quote I've always respected. Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Listen to that again, because most people don't fail from lack of ability. They fail because of the story they tell themselves, the excuse. Two good Marines with a problem. When I was in Somalia, I had two Marines under me, McCowan and Ocampo. Let me be clear, these were good Marines. Out in the field, they were solid. Weapons clean, shooting on point, setting up guns, patrolling. Anything that had to do with combat, they handled it. They worked hard. They were dependable. They were the kind of guys you wanted next to you when things got real. Then we got back to garrison, and everything changed. Uniforms weren't clean. Appearance wasn't sharp. Details were sloppy. They didn't carry themselves like Marines should. No pride in presentation. No consistency. No standard. And it showed. The split mindset. Here's what I realized watching them. They weren't incapable. They were selective. They gave effort to what they liked and made excuses for what they didn't. In the field, no problem. In garrison, excuses. I didn't have time. It's not that serious. I'll fix it later. And that's how potential starts to die. Not in big moments, but in small decisions. Excuses sound good. Here's the dangerous part about excuses. They sound reasonable. They make you feel justified. They protect your ego. They give you something to blame, but they also keep you stuck. Every excuse is a decision to stay the same. Good isn't enough. McCowan and Ocampo were good, but good isn't enough, because the standard isn't. Be great when you feel like it. The standard is to be disciplined in everything. That's what separates average from elite. Anybody can show up when they enjoy it. Anyone can perform when it's exciting. But can you execute when it's boring? Can you show discipline when nobody's watching? Can you hold the standard when it doesn't feel important? Where they got stuck. Those Marines didn't move up like they should have, not because they lacked skill, but because they lacked consistency. They stayed where they were. They maintained rank and position. They didn't grow. They didn't advance. It wasn't because the system failed them. It was because they refused to eliminate excuses. This isn't just military. This is life. Business, fitness, everything. People will go hard on what they enjoy, but avoid what actually moves them forward. They'll train chest and skip legs, work the fun parts of business and ignore the hard parts, show up when they feel good and disappear when they don't, and then they wonder why nothing changes. Potential is fragile. Here's the truth. Potential doesn't mean anything if it's not developed. You can be talented. You can be gifted. You can be capable. But if you keep feeding yourself excuses, you will never become what you're supposed to be. Excuses don't just slow you down. They kill what you could have been. The standard you set. At some point, you have to decide, am I only going to show up when I feel like it? Or am I going to hold a standard no matter what? Because discipline isn't about what you enjoy. It's about what you require from yourself. No more excuses. Let's make it simple. If you don't like doing it, do it anyway. If it's boring, do it anyway. If it's uncomfortable, do it anyway. That's where growth lives. It's where separation happens and where potential turns into reality. McCowan and Ocampo taught me something without even realizing it. You can be great in one area and still fall short overall, because success doesn't reward part-time discipline. So if you're serious about leveling up, kill the excuses, all of them, because the moment you remove excuses, your potential finally has a chance to live. Chapter 6. The work you avoid is the work you need. There's a truth most people don't want to face. The work you avoid is usually the work you need the most. Not the work you like, not the work you're good at, the work you keep pushing to the side. That's the one. My weak point. I learned that the hard way. When I was younger, I loved training upper body. Bench press, I was there. Arms, all day. Chest and shoulders, no problem. But legs, I avoided them. Not because I couldn't train them, but because I didn't want to. It was hard. It hurt. It took more out of me. So I skipped it or did just enough to say I did it. For a while, I got away with it. The imbalance shows. But here's the thing about avoiding work. It always shows up later. When I started doing bodybuilding competitions, everything looked solid, except my legs. I remember looking back at pictures one year and thinking, what have I done to myself? Upper body, built. Symmetry, close. But my calves, they told the truth. They showed exactly where I had been cutting corners. Powerlifting exposed it too. It didn't just show up in bodybuilding. It showed up in powerlifting. My bench press was strong. I could move weight. But when it came to squats or deadlifts, that's where I fell behind. That's where the weakness lived. In powerlifting, you can't hide from that. You don't win because of one strong lift. You win because everything is strong. No more avoiding it. At some point, I had to make a decision. Keep avoiding it or attack it. And I started putting real work into my legs. Not halfway. Not when I felt like it. Consistently. Heavy squats. Heavy deadlifts. Volume. Pain. Reps I didn't want to do. All the work I used to avoid. I made it my focus, and everything changed. My legs got stronger. My squats improved. My deadlifts improved. To the point where I became dominant in powerlifting. There were competitions where I wasn't losing, not because I suddenly became talented, but because I finally became disciplined in the area I used to neglect. From weakness to strength. Same thing in bodybuilding. I never won a show, but I was always in the top 4. And one of the biggest changes, my legs became one of my stronger points. The same area I used to avoid became an advantage. That's how this works. Your weakness isn't permanent. It's usually just neglected. The area where you struggle the most, that's the area you've given the least attention. Until you face that one thing, it will keep holding you back. Your leg day in life. This isn't just about the gym. Everybody has something they avoid. In business, it might be sales. In life, it might be discipline. In growth, it might be accountability. You'll work hard on everything else just to avoid that one thing. And that one thing, it's the exact thing keeping you stuck. No more skipping it. There's a saying I live by now. Friends don't let friends skip leg day. But I'll take it further. You shouldn't let yourself skip your weaknesses, because every time you avoid it, you reinforce it. Every time you attack it, you reduce it. The standard. If you want to grow, stop doing only what you're good at. Start doing what you're bad at. If you want to level up, stop hiding in your strengths. Start building your weaknesses. The work you avoid is the work that will change you. Find your version of leg day and stop skipping it. Chapter 7. Pressure builds power. Pressure will do one of two things. It will break you, or it will build you. There is no middle ground. When everything collapsed. I've felt real pressure. Not the kind people talk about on social media. Real pressure. After I got my gym up and running, things were finally moving. It felt like progress. It felt like things were coming together. Then everything hit at once. I got sued for a large amount of money. I lost my cars. I lost my house. And I almost lost my marriage. That's not a setback. That's a collapse. That's the kind of moment where everything you built feels like it's gone, and you're standing there trying to figure out what's left. No way around it. There was no shortcut out of that. No easy fix. No quick solution. Just pressure. The kind that keeps you up at night. The kind that makes you question everything. The kind that forces you to decide who you really are. What pressure does. People say they want success, but they don't want pressure. That's a problem. Pressure is what reveals your limits and then gives you a chance to break them. That situation forced me to buckle down, start over, and rebuild from the ground up. It's not easy or comfortable. Not quick, but necessary. A different level of work. The kind of pressure changes how you move. You stop playing around, stop making excuses, stop wasting time. You work differently, think differently, and execute differently. Because now it's not optional. Now it matters. What I gained. Here's what most people don't understand. That pressure didn't just hurt me. It taught me. It forced me to learn business on a deeper level. It made me sharper, more aware, more disciplined. I learned things I would have never learned if everything stayed comfortable. And because of that, I didn't just rebuild. I built better. I was able to create other businesses, stronger businesses, smarter businesses, all because of what pressure taught me. Pressure creates strength. You've heard it before. Pressure bursts pipes, but it also creates diamonds. The difference: structure. Weak structure breaks. Strong structure adapts. And that's what pressure did for me. It strengthened my structure. Mentally, emotionally, professionally. Now when it gets hard, I still go through things. I still have moments where I feel like quitting. Moments where I feel like giving up. I'm not different from anybody else in that way. But now, I respond differently because I've been through pressure before. I've been tested, and I know what's on the other side of it. Comfortable being uncomfortable. That experience taught me something that changed everything. You must get comfortable being uncomfortable. Discomfort isn't the enemy. It's the environment where growth happens. If you run from pressure, you stay the same. If you lean into it, you evolve. The real power. Pressure isn't there to destroy you. It's there to build a version of you that can handle more. More responsibility, stress, and success. Because success without pressure creates weak people. Pressure prepares you for what you're asking for. The choice. When life gets heavy, and it will, you've got a choice. Fold or forge. Quit or build. Run from the pressure, or let it turn you into something stronger. I've been through it. I've felt it. And I'm telling you, that pressure you're trying to avoid, it might be the exact thing you need. Pressure doesn't just build strength, it builds power. Chapter 8. Do it anyway. When it comes to hard work, most people overcomplicate it. They ask, is this the right move? Is this going to pay off? Is it worth it? Most of the time, that's not the real question. What they should be asking is, do you feel like doing it? And more often than not, the answer is no. The truth about hard work. Hard work isn't confusing. It's not some big mystery you have to figure out. You already know what you need to do. Wake up earlier, train harder, stay consistent, finish what you started. The problem isn't knowledge. The problem is willingness. When nobody is watching. A lot of people don't want to do the work because nobody's watching. Nobody's clapping. Nobody's praising them. Nobody's telling them, good job. So they slow down, they stop, they wait for recognition. But here's the truth. The most important work you'll ever do will be done when nobody is watching. No applause required. If you need validation to stay consistent, you're not disciplined, because discipline doesn't require an audience. Discipline shows up in silence. Early mornings, late nights, empty gyms, quiet rooms, no noise, no spotlight, just you and the work. Do it anyway. You don't feel like it? Do it anyway. You're tired? Do it anyway. Nobody notices? Do it anyway. It's not exciting? Do it anyway. That's the difference. That's the separator. That's where most people fall off and where a few keep going. It only takes one. Here's something people don't realize. Sometimes it only takes one person to notice, one opportunity to open a door, one moment for everything to change. But that moment doesn't come to people who quit early. It comes to the ones who stayed consistent when it didn't make sense. Delayed recognition. Hard work doesn't always pay off immediately. Sometimes it's delayed. Sometimes it feels like you're putting in effort with no return. That doesn't mean it's not working. It means it's building, under the surface, behind the scenes, out of sight. The reward. If you keep showing up, if you keep pushing and do the work, It will pay off. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it will. Effort compounds. Consistency and discipline compound. Discipline compounds. Keep going. If you're in that place right now, here you're working and nobody sees it, where you're grinding and nothing is happening yet, good. Stay there. That's where most people quit. Don't quit. Don't slow down. Don't wait for permission. Do the work. Do it right. Do it consistently. And most importantly, do it anyway. Chapter 9. The Life You Earn. It's important to set goals for yourself, not just talk about them or think about them. Set them and back them up with work. That's why one of my favorite sayings is, don't complain about the results you didn't get from the work you didn't do, because at the end of the day, the life you have is the life you built. Life is a school. I look at life as one big school. Every experience is a lesson. Every mistake is a test. Every challenge is an opportunity to learn something, whether you realize it or not. You're always prepping for your future, through your habits, through your decisions, and through your discipline, or lack of it. Everything you've done up to this point has positioned you exactly where you are right now. Built over time. Your life isn't random. It's built over time through what you choose to do, what you choose to avoid, what you committed to, what you quit on. That's what creates your reality. Not luck, not chance, work. Planning the life we wanted. One thing that's always been important to me is time with my family. Not just talking about it, actually living it. Over 20 years ago, my wife and I made a decision. We bought a timeshare, not because it was trendy, but because it aligned with a goal. We said we wanted to be able to vacation 4 to 6 months out of the year when we got older. That didn't just happen. We had to build toward it. Setting up the future. We wanted residual income, so we invested. We wanted income from businesses, so we built businesses. We wanted freedom, so we made decisions that created options later, step by step, year by year, decision by decision. That's how you build a life. Living what you say you want. We also said we wanted to stay active. We like hiking. We like being outdoors. We want to be those grandparents who can move, who can travel, who can actually enjoy life with our family. So what does that require? Taking care of our bodies now, working out, eating right, staying disciplined with our health. Because you don't wait until you're older to try to fix it. You prepare for it now. The truth most people avoid. Here's the part people don't like to hear. If you don't have the life you want, at some point you must look at yourself. Not your circumstances, not other people, yourself. Then ask, did I do what I was supposed to do today to set up my tomorrow? Earned, not given. The life you want isn't given. It's earned through discipline, sacrifice, and doing things you didn't feel like doing, over and over again. There are no shortcuts to a well-built life. You can't skip the work and expect the reward. You can't avoid responsibility and expect freedom. You can't live undisciplined and expect stability. It doesn't work like that. The standard. If you want a different life, start earning it. Right now, not next week, not next year, today. Through your habits, your effort, and through your consistency. One day you're going to look at the life you have, and you'll have to answer this one question. Did I earn this? Make sure the answer is yes. Chapter 10. Built, not given. Nothing in this life that matters is given. Not strength, discipline, success, or respect. It's all built. Somewhere along the way, people started believing life was supposed to be easier than it is. That if you're a good person, things should just work out. If you try a little, you should get a lot. If it's meant for you, it'll just happen. That's a lie. Life doesn't hand out results. It responds to effort. Built through the work. Everything I've talked about in this book comes back to one thing. The work. The hard work. The uncomfortable work. The work nobody wants to do. That's what builds you. You don't build discipline by talking about it. You build it by showing up when you don't feel like it. You don't build strength by wishing for it. You build it by pushing past limits. You don't build success by waiting for opportunity. You build it by creating it through action. The armor. This whole series, Knight's Armor, is not just a title. It's a mindset. Armor isn't given to you. It's forged, piece by piece, through pressure, failure, discipline, and doing the hard work over and over again. Every chapter in this book, that's another piece of armor. When you stop complaining about results, that's armor. When you accept challenges and change, that's armor. When you choose discipline over motivation, that's armor. When you realize nobody is coming to save you, that's armor. When you kill excuses, that's armor. When you attack the world you've been avoiding, that's armor. When you embrace pressure, that's armor. When you do the work anyway, that's armor. When you start earning your life, that's armor. Forged, not found. You don't find strength, you forge it. You don't stumble into discipline, you build it. You don't accidentally create a powerful life, you earn it. At the end of the day, it all comes down to this. You are either building yourself or you're neglecting yourself. There is no neutral. Every day you're either getting stronger or you're getting weaker, more disciplined or more distracted, closer to your goals or further away. No more waiting. Stop waiting for the right moment. Stop waiting for motivation or for someone to notice you. Stop waiting for life to get easier. Build. Right now, build it with what you have, where you are. The standard you leave behind. This isn't just about you. It's about what you represent to your family, your team, and to the people watching you. Even if you don't realize it, you're either showing them what discipline looks like or you're showing them what excuses look like. Leave no doubt. When it's all said and done, when people look at your life, there should be no question, confusion, or doubt. They should be able to say, that was built. Not handed to him, not given to him, not lucky. Built through hard work, discipline, pressure, and consistency. Final word. So if you take anything from this book, take this. Do the work. Do it right. Do it consistently. And never forget. The life you want, the strength you need, the person you're trying to become is built, not given. Epilogue. When the work becomes who you are. At some point, it stops being about the gym. It stops being about business or goals on paper. It becomes who you are. Because the truth is, hard work isn't something you do for a season. It's something you become. There was a time in my life when I avoided the work. I made excuses. I cut corners. I did just enough to get by, and I paid for it. I've failed. I've fallen short. I've had moments where quitting felt easier than continuing. But every one of those moments taught me something. You don't get to choose whether life is hard. You only get to choose how you respond to it. Over time, something changed. Not overnight, not all at once, but piece by piece. Through discipline, through pressure, through doing the work when I didn't feel like it. I stopped trying to find the easy way, and I started building the stronger version of myself. That's what this whole journey is about. Not perfection, not being the best, but becoming better. Better than you were yesterday, stronger than you were before, more disciplined than the version of you that used to make excuses. Because one day you wake up and realize you don't hesitate anymore. You don't negotiate with yourself anymore. You don't look for shortcuts anymore. You just do the work. That's when you know it's real, when you know it's stuck, when you know the armor is built. Life will still test you. Don't get it twisted. There will still be hard days. There will still be pressure. There will still be moments where everything in you wants to quit. But now, you're different. You've built something inside yourself that can't be taken away. Discipline, standards, mental toughness, the ability to keep going when it would be easier to stop. That's what this book was about. Not just doing the hard work, but becoming someone who does it automatically. Because when the work becomes who you are, you don't need motivation. You don't need recognition or anyone to push you. You've already decided. So from here, it's simple. Keep building, keep pushing, Keep showing up, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when nobody sees it. Because at the end of all of this, at the end of the struggle, the setbacks, the pressure, the discipline, you won't just have results. You'll have something better. You'll have proof. Proof that you didn't quit. Proof that you didn't fold. Proof that you built yourself into someone stronger. Nobody can take that from you. So whatever you do next, whatever goals you chase, whatever life you build, do it with discipline. Do it with purpose. Do it with everything you've got. And remember, you're not just doing the work anymore. You are the work. About the author. Kenny is a retired U.S. Marine Corps and Army combat veteran who overcame the trauma of war, personal hardship, and life-altering adversity to become a business owner, founder, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and mentor coach. Today, he empowers students across the country with raw, real-life stories of struggle, growth, and triumph. This has been Built, Not Given. Hard Work. The Knight's Armor Principles, Volume 6, by Kenny Knight III, founder of Rage Fitness and Salute Supplements, U.S. Marine Corps and Army veteran, speaker, entrepreneur, author. Read by Rick Gines.